Hi guys, and welcome to episode 7 of Next Meridian Expedition. We finally managed to put together the video of our 3 weeks to Iceland and the Faroe Islands. Way too many beautiful footages to pick from, and it took us forever. But it's quite a mystical adventure, and we officially voted Iceland as one of the most special trips that we got to do. Are you ready? Friday, 6 p.m. We set up our out-of-office email, closed our computers, loaded material in our Land Rover Defender Albo, and we were off.
Ready to go!
We drove all night from Brussels, only to wake up 12 hours later on the beach of Hirtshals, Denmark.
So we arrived in Hirtshals, whatever you pronounce, and we're finally at the port. We're waiting to get our COVID test to then be able to enter the Faroe Islands.
We sailed off with the Norrøna ferry operated by Smyrna Line. It's quite pricey, but it is also the only passenger ferry embarking cars leaving from the continent and stopping in the Faroe Islands. There are a few other ways though to get to Iceland, so don't hesitate to ask us in comments if you need some more info. We sailed off north for about a day and a half to reach the Faroe Islands. We got to Tórshavn, the archipelago main town, around 11 p.m. that night.
We arrived in the Faroes.
And we got to discover the endless northern days and the luxury of looking for an adequate bivouac place in the middle of the night with a clear sky. We also got to discover the midges.
So we just woke up and there are thousands of little flies.
And the fun part, and we discovered that later, is that they bite. We spent 3 days in the Faroe Islands. It is a small archipelago, home to about 50,000 people, spread through a network of about 19 islands. Those islands are more or less connected together by roads, boats, and helicopter connections. And this is not a joke, you can look it up. The islands are like giant green pyramids falling abruptly in the sea. It is quite of a dramatic landscape, but it's super well preserved. In particular due to those subsea tunnels that are connecting the islands together. It is also the only place in the world where you can find the subsea roundabout. I did find that super cool. You can feel these islands are subject to extremely harsh weather conditions and need to be really open-minded if you go there, because you will need to explore despite the rain, despite the wind. But out of our 3 days, we still got to spend quite some time in the sun. To all the fellow Overlanders though, there are just not many roads in the Faroe Islands, so if you really only enjoy driving, it might not be the best place. But for hikes and nature, it is definitely a must stop. And just as we arrived, we embarked again with the Norna ferry and took off for another day and a half of sailing toward Iceland. A great thing about the Line ferry is because it's the only route to Iceland, you have a lot of overlanders on the boat and you get to meet a lot of people. Line dropped us on the extreme east point of Iceland, Seyjafjörður. Seyjafjörður.
Seyðisfirði.
We arrived on a sunny morning and disembarked in t-shirts, 20 degrees in a bright sun. And we set off for a short 2 days expedition to cross the entire island and meet our families in Reykjavik, at the opposite side of the island, toward the west. The first 2 days were condensed and express acclimatation. The south being the most touristic corner of the country, also known as the Gold Circle. We crossed a variety of landscapes, settings going from brown to green to black lava fields. We also got to see some puffins, like us, and, not the least, we got to try the famous Icelandic hot dog that costs you the price of an excellent risotto in Italy. We also saw some geysers. Wait for it! And of course, we got to contemplate dozens of waterfalls. All of this in 2 days. Did we mention Iceland was amazing?
And our first convoy, the happy campers, have arrived.
In the town of Vik, we met with Nicholas' mother, Alessandra, and her friend Patricia.
Lila.
Yeah.
Together, we set off to Reykjavik. In Reykjavik, we did a quick detour to meet Hordur and his wife. We met them through Instagram and they're passionate with travel and defenders. They generously invited us for lunch at their place and we showed them our boat. Thank you so much,
It's
Hordur.
not very long, it's a bit far, you see.
We then drove to Keflavik and met up with my parents, Jean-Philippe and Isabelle. We all went to enjoy the Blue Lagoon waters, some nice and comforting time before setting up to the wall. And after enjoying the warm pools of Blue Lagoon for an entire afternoon, it's in a little convoy of 3 vehicles that we headed back on the road. We drove up north, and as we left behind us the Golden Circle, the road quickly emptied. And after one first evening with the most amazing bivouac we found along the road, no matter how beautiful it was, the first few days will eternally be remembered as wet. And it's an understatement. Even when hikes didn't force us to cross rivers on tree trunks, the intense rain just seemed unstoppable. The weather was so bad at some point that we even saw waterfalls falling upward. As the rain continues, while we were discovering the northwest part of the country, the early motivation of being back all together as a family quickly was replaced by the frustration of constant fog blocking the view, of wet clothes that would not dry overnight.
Another glorious day hiking in Iceland in an amazing weather. But hopefully we'll get the waterfall we're looking for.
That day we found the waterfall and we did discover a few things. We became really good at setting up a drying system in the car.
These are the gloves and the socks.
And we even developed our own little home cinema. But the frustration was real.
La pluie. On a décidé d'aller remonter le moral des troupes. Et du coup, on a trouvé un camping où on peut prendre des douches chaudes, se réchauffer un peu et puis on ira au restaurant. Le temps que la pluie s'arrête et on espère que demain ou après-demain, on pourra enfin faire des randonnées sans avoir à se sécher pendant 2 jours.
And as we progressed toward the eastern part of the island, the weather was becoming gradually better. Not amazing. Better, I said. But it still allowed us to take the drone out and enjoy a bit more of the outdoors. Check this out. I almost forgot. Enjoying the outdoors in Iceland on a road trip also means getting your friends out of the holes. Thanks God, Albo's here! As we reach the geothermally active region of Mivan, the rain didn't feel that cool anymore. Maybe it was because we were too busy looking at the smoking foam rolls and boiling mud pots surrounded by sulfur crystals of many different colors. Eventually, every hike kind of have an overwhelming smell of egg in this area due to the sulfur. We even found a warm shower. I wish I could say it was in the middle of nowhere. Technically, it was in the north part of Iceland, so it's kind of the middle of nowhere, but it was alongside the road and next to the massive geothermal power plant of that region. But it was still very much welcome after a week without warm shower. One day, for no particular reason, the rain stopped. And in the middle of the colorful mountains of Evrir, the sun came back. And with it, our energy and eagerness to discover the country.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry
At that stage, I decided to move inland to discover the highlands region of Iceland.
Now that we've deflated the tires, welcome to F88 for the next adventure. Yeehaw!
Those 3 days in the highlands of Iceland were without any doubt one of the nicest parts of our trip. I'll let the images speaking for themselves.
water crossings.
So this is tonight's campground. It is pretty cool. This is Albo and the sunset.
After being woken up by some sort of motorized paragliders, we decided to hike to the Askia Lake and its little twin, the Lake Viti. It is a super special place where side by side stand a warm, milky color lake deep down in a crater, the Viti Lake, and its twin brother, the glacial Askia Lake.
And this is the cold twin of the Viti Lake, Askia. Pure stillness.
On our way back, we met up with the rangers of the park and spent some time discussing with them. We then drove back toward the southeast to meet up with our family toward the glaciers. We visited a futuristic landmark on the way. And just like that, it was already the time to say goodbye to our families. But for us, the trip was not over. Thank you so much to Alessandra, Isabelle, Jean-Philippe and Patricia for joining us. Without you, the trip wouldn't have been the same. We had 3 days to join the port where the ferry would pick us up. But we had no intention of wasting that time. We had enjoyed so much our time in the highlands that we went straight back direction Landmannalaugar. Or at least that's what we thought.
So always good. We just left the family and then literally 10 kilometers later, here we are on the road one with a flat tire. Very, very flat tire. So we need to fix this.
We changed the tire and put on the spare one. We were facing a choice: risking to miss our boat if we had any other issue with another tire, because we didn't have a spare anymore, or we would go, enjoy the last 2 days, and cross our fingers. Those last 2 days and the places we've been to are amongst our favorite in Iceland. Landmannalonga and the entire park next to the glacier is absolute madness.
Hey guys, we just made it to the top. Look at this. Wow, just amazing.
Tanti colori. And this is the boat that's going to bring us to Denmark. Norrøna Smiriland.